This is the fourth week of the program of resilient immunity, where we first discussed food, activity, and thought. Now we are coming to the habits or traditions or acharas. This is my daily sankalpam. And then we come to the tradition definition. The definition is tradition is thada. Thada means handover. That's the Sanskrit word. Or traditions hand over the generations, the habits they form from the parents, from the culture, from the knowledge, whatever it is. We have to be aware of them as we practice them. First of all, understand from the English meaning, a tradition is a belief or a behavior passed down within a group or a society with symbolic meaning or special significance with origins in the past. But you cannot live in the past. You have to live in the present. In terms of our immunity, if you follow something that is really been in the past, and then we are repeating it without knowing the intricacies or application to the times and the places we live in, they could be harmful to you. Especially as far as immunity concerned, you don't want to eat something that was in the family for some time, but that may not be good, like a jalebi or a very good sweet in India. And if you eat a lot, then you are prone for the diabetes. So you want to not to get caught up in that kind of thing. You want to be aware in the moment and every day. And that is the purpose of making spiritualization of these traditions, are to see that you are getting the benefits for what they are intended and you know about it. So you are acting with awareness, not with unconsciousness. That's where the immunity really comes into factor, because you are doing things because these are good for your immunity, either your food, your activity, your thought, or anything else. Okay, so that is the aspect I want to bring it into the traditions now. Now, this is from Swadhin Swasthaya Mahavidya. In this one, they talked about, I don't want to read the Sanskrit part of it, I will tell you the 8 parts. It's a good daily bowel movement, no excess weight, very clear skin, absence of laziness, strong sense of hunger, deep sleep, positive thoughts, and no pains in the body. These are the signs of good immunity that reflect in your body, that you can observe yourself every day and test for yourself, what is my score on immunity? If you have a good bowel movement, if you have an ideal body weight or not too much weight, or you have a clear skin and you are not lazy but you are active, and you have a real good sense of hunger, and you are sleeping well, and you are positive in your thoughts mostly, and then you don't have any major pains in your body. As you age, you will have those pains, but you can relieve them with the stretch and breathing. So having an immunity score will help you to see where your immunity, just by assessing this. Okay, you don't have to be a doctor for this. You just have to be honest with yourself. Now, we will discuss a little bit about what they talked about in yoga about habit formation. So any habit is formed because of a repetitive action. That action comes because you have, from your character, you have motivation towards some action that you want to do. And if you repeat that again and again, it becomes a samskar, and then it is embedded in you. So you start to eat mom's food. That's a repetitive act you do, and then you acquire a taste for it, and that taste becomes your samskar. The next time you want to eat something, you are craving with that taste. That's kind of thing. And these samskaras are not taken away just like that. They act before you even think about it. So what you need to do is, you need to understand how everything forms a habit, especially when they're repeated unconsciously, and then they can be the boss, not you. So you are liking certain kind of sweet food, That sweetness is the one that's the engram, that's the samskara that happened in your modulation of the brain. And that acts. So the way to get rid of it is you have to be aware. As it happening, you have to be aware. Only then you can change a habit. So that is what we are talking about here. The action repeated forms a habit, unconscious repeated forms samskara. Samskara's awareness will remove that. Okay, most of the traditions were established, at least in India or in many societies. How they were established were from the insights of the wisdom that particular society or the people's population acquired over the generations. Some are good, some are not. Like a person who is living in caves goes to the forest and he knows which one kills, which doesn't kill, the fruit wise. So he won't accept the fruits that are really killing them. So they learned that. That's the wisdom. But the same thing is cooking, same thing is using the fire, and all those things establish these habits. But now they have become so unconscious, so sudden that we are not even aware of them. Okay, so you want to promote good habits, especially in food, water, and work environment, and thought patterns. Those are under your control, basically. So just paying attention and then being aware of the movement is the most important thing to change your habit. So first, be aware of the habits, watch them, then see what's the purpose behind it. Is it serving you or not? Then you have to actually change it. Otherwise, it will be not change, and then you'll continue the bad habit again and again. That may be very ordinary, but then if you look at your regular habits, acharas, then you will see you are bringing food from all sorts of locations without paying attention to where it is coming from, who has grown it, how they have grown it, what their methods. Those are the things you want to be educated about, and then just knowing it is not enough. Is it happening in your life? Like in my life, these fresh vegetables, we are not growing them, but we try to get them from a place that is reputable, that has not used too many chemicals, or you bring it from the grocery shop, you want to wash it and keep it clean like that. Okay, but we are trying to grow a garden too. We will do that. So gathering food with awareness, where it came from, how it is grown, what it contains, how it affects your body, mind, and energy, all those important, but also how this is going to affect the planet. That may be something that we can do good for ourselves, for our planet too. Now, this is the food plan that is kind of recommended. Okay, you get up and you do a little bit of stretching, then you take vegetable juice. And then at breakfast, you take fresh food, and you have only grain meal once a day, like a lunchtime. And then dinner is at 6 o'clock because it requires time for the dinner to go through your bowels. So it takes like a few hours, and then once that is all gone, then the churning of the GI tract happens with all the juices going on. So that is the one which prepares the bowel to expand so that the rectum will excrete everything in the morning. So that early dinner is a very, very wise decision. But people are eating whenever they want, whatever they want, and however they want. And those kind of things, we can pay a little attention. Of course, we talked about this, how to prepare the food with love, with a silent mind, and how the person who is cooking should be knowledgeable about the ingredients and the consequences on the bodies. Then only they will be able to, they may use something very traditionally, but they don't know why they are putting certain spice in the curry and what's going to do the body. The more knowledgeable they are, the better they use. That's the part. And these are the foods for immunity. We'll go through them. I'm not going to the details of what they, like for example, all berries. They're superfoods. We all know that, are citrus food, rich in vitamin C. But amla is much better for the vitamin C. and avocados, kale, yogurt, ginger, turmeric, mushrooms, spinach, garlic, nuts, green tea, broccoli. So all those foods I just went through because we won't have the time to go through each food and then go through the content and the intended effect on the body and all that. I can do that at a later time when we do a different series on the details of the immunity. Now, serving the food also can be a habit, can be paid attention to, and then see who is serving in what. Are they serving in a metal plate? Are they serving in a paper plate? Are they really serving right from the pan to the plate? And also when they appreciate that Brahman is food and food is us and we are Brahman too. That's a deeper philosophical reflection. But if you just remember, everything has that enlivened energy in the world. That is the one that goes into us too. Of course, comes under food. We talked about this, sitting down, enjoying the food, and be conscious of what you are eating, be thankful to the life that is given to us, and not using TV and all those things, and be grateful that we are able to eat the food, digest it, and we are able to eat the kind of food that we want, all that. Of course, this is my favorite thing because disposal is as important as preparing the food. And if you are more conscious, so what kind of habit you have? Do you not use plastic? Do you use brass, which is good for you? Do you clean it up and then dispose the waste in a way that can be recycled? All those awareness habits in those activities will help us in the long run. Now we come to the activity. It's like a morning till evening, actually the day starts the night before. This is like a review of all the previous weeks, so that way you may see some things familiar that we discussed in the previous weeks. But I'm putting it all together in this last lecture because everything is a habit, The day starts the night before mean that you want to prepare for today, but you don't want to sleep with them. Sleep on them, fine, but in your diary, not on your mind. So that way you get up in the morning fresh, and then you can consult your diary that you noted, and then you can recall all those things there. That's a good way to really not to worry about things or keep brooding on things, and then worrying about things that may not happen anyway in the night. So early morning routine, I always advise people to wake up in the morning. It's early rise, early to bed, early to rise is the best principle still in most of the people, unless the person's biological clock is the other way. Then they have a different routine. Nowadays, it is all messed up because we are working 24 hours a day with all the electronics, So you have to figure out what is your body clock. If you take your temperature every 1 hour, it keeps on going up like a degree or half a degree. For example, you are 97 and it goes to 98.27 in the night, then you are a morning person. Your biological clock works if you get up early in the morning and do the work. Okay. On the other hand, you are otherwise, then you are a night person. So you work better at night, and during the day, you are not going to be feeling good. Okay? So when you really rise very early, there is something called Brahma Muhurt in yoga. This is 3:32 before 5 hours, before the sunrise and all. So that is the time when the rest of the world is asleep. If you really want to get up because you are energetic at the time, and then you start working important contemplation, meditation, awareness practices, that is the best time. That's why I wanted to mention it, because this is like a I was always talking about how to spiritualize your daily life, not worshiping, not doing something that you're not that. How are you going into your interior and find out how your habits are crystallized within you and how you can change them. Well, that's why I just mentioned, not that everybody has to raise at the time, but I can tell you when I get up like that and then go into my meditations and all that, I have a very good day the entire day. Otherwise, sometimes you can go back a little bit and then sleep a little bit according to the demands of the body, and then get up and do it. But it's a better thing always to rise early. Don't reach for your phone right away once again, and then start the day with an elevated thought. Okay, if the thought is elevated and then concerning about other people and everybody else, then you are going to be doing much good for yourself and for the rest of the family or the society, whatever. And then you kind of try to connect with the nature a little bit, listen to the birds, go to the flowers, and really look at the flowers or the plants or the wind, or if the snow is there, the snow, like that. Connect with the nature a little bit. And then you do your morning exercise, whatever it is. My favorite is sun salutations. And then you arise awake and you do not stop till your goal is this. That is Vivekananda, repeated from Upanishads. So you can stretch in the bed, you can do breathing exercise sitting down, and you can do asanas, and then after all asana sessions, end it always with a corpse pose. That's a deep relaxation. And then you can do the meditation. And then you can carry that present moment awareness throughout the day if you start it early in the morning. Now, when you come to the breakfast, you can have the morning green tea. It can be the biggest meal of the day. It consists of everything. So this is telling you what you should be: water, vegetable juice, coconut water is better. Then you go and take your shower. Vigorous rub is recommended in terms of immunity, because the skin that is rubbed vigorously with oil and then washed up with the special powders will take away so much of dirt. Actually, the skin breathes better in a way. And also, we always recommend people to gum the massage the gums. That is the one that really helps that the entire circulation there. When you take the shower these days for the COVID virus, we are recommending people to take alternate hot water for a while with cold water for a while. So this is actually suggested in a scientific lecture on the MedGram. So that's a good thing to practice. Then you prepare for your work. Okay, you work according to your practice, and then don't go to all the emails, but only go for the things that you want to do. So that means you are going to reach out the people that you want to according to your priorities. But not according to whatever everybody sends. That's a mistake. And then form is also like that. Okay, you want to determine whom you want to call. That is a better way to manage in the era of information overload. You don't want to reach for every small bit item out of place. It's better to turn off the notifications and then identify what is the most important task for me today, and then delegate them. And then they can remind you, or they can do half and come back to you with the final result, like that. So delegation is an important task if you have somebody to delegate to, or you can delegate to a future time. That way you can relegate your task to somebody that can do, or you can do it later. Then you are ready for the work. Then when you are going into the commuting in the car, what I would recommend is practice kind of awareness during the drive. That means you pay attention to where you are, what you are seeing on the road, and it is very easy to be unconsciously driving because of the learned skill. then we will lose touch with the present. So if you want to become to the present, it's better to pay attention to what is happening, then that becomes a training uh, before you go to the office. Sometimes you can listen to something elevating your mood, or you can, suppose you're having a long drive, you can stretch and then relax the neck, relax the back, and then also relax the legs. That's a much better. We talked about those particular exercises in the previous episodes. When you go to the work, always go by your values, obviously, and you have to remember why you are there, and you want to understand your values and the workplace values are aligned. So this is like a everyday affair. You cannot just go and resent your work and resent the people there and then expect your stress not to build up and not to affect your immunity. That's the main thing. Why I'm bringing the connection back, it is, if you can go with an attitude of, I want to enjoy the work, your immunity will be much preserved, okay? And take some breaks. At the breaks, try to do something random kind of activity to somebody else, and also take a 1-minute break every 1 hour. This is something I recommend to all the knowledge workers because they keep on accumulating the information. They never stop and reflect on it. So this 1 minute would at least give a break for them, Don't involve with gossip, obviously, and also smile as much as you can. And if you are a goal focused, you will feel much better than if you are just doing it because somebody else is telling you to do. So even if you go at a boring work, you can make a goal that you can achieve during those few hours, okay? And then, of course, be grateful all the time, and just to be able to sit down there and work, you should be grateful, and then you always lead by giving. Remember the son, he gives without asking anything in return. All that giving, all that joyful work and all that is going to help you generate, if not complete endorphins, at least it won't generate the stress hormones, and then you can deal with it. Suppose big argument is going on, and then in the middle of that, you suddenly smile, then you have everything there, okay? So dinner before 6, we said, and then better to eat a soup or fruit or grain that is not too much, And early evening, you can use for socialization, and the socialization is exchange of ideas and trying to nurture each other rather than, something confrontational, something that is really going to get on your nerves, or makes you feel depressed. All those are activities of the ego. So if you communicate, understanding the implications, what can happen to you, then that will help you to be in a relaxed state. I don't recommend smoking in any circumstances anyway, but more so in COVID era, because we found a lot of people who are smoking succumbed very quickly. Okay, so in China, they did studies on patients who suffered. Majority of them, they had either 1 or 2 of them. Either they were smokers or diabetes. A lot of people died of when they have these as underlying factors. If you are to listen to music, it is better to listen to instrumental music that doesn't have any words in it. Of course, you can do exercise intensely according to how your physical goals are, and then you can spend time with the family or read, and then after dinner, before bedtime, what you do is very, very important. Reading is good, review of the day and reflecting on the day, and then putting them where they belong, each activity. And then before you sleep, you just want to write everything for tomorrow, and then put away all the associations, and then meditate and stay in the self. That's an advanced thing, but that's something people are interested, I can talk more about it. And then retire early. In the thoughts, again, we talked about mind versus awareness. This is a bigger topic, and I covered it in the third week. But basically, am I coming from my thoughts or am I coming from my awareness? The awareness is the one which is aware of the thoughts. Thoughts are not aware of the awareness, but thoughts are seen by the light that is the awareness within you. So you have to reduce to that and then stay in the awareness. Then things are different, the way you look at them. We talked about this, what is the mind, what is thought, a bunch of thoughts are mind, and then when the negative thoughts comes, we want to replace them with a positive. We talked about mental fluctuations, how they happen with each thought, and then if they are not paid attention at the time, they become your habit, and then they become later on as the real ones come up, even though they come from your memory, they can be strong if you don't pay attention to them. You have to be aware of them. Otherwise, they become the reality. So we talked about Descartes, how he said, I think, therefore I am, and that is the limiting of our civilization. The civilization has grown in terms of the things, everything that we do, but the culture, which is the fruition of the goodness, flowering of the goodness in man, that has not grown because we are limiting ourselves to thought only. People are obviously not their thoughts only. They are people with so many other dimensions. But we forget about them because the thought plays so much importance. You are supposed to talk this way, not this way. Then if somebody out of ignorance, they talk something that's not the right way, then you make an opinion of them, which is also a thought. Then you relate to them with that image. That's the problem. But once you know, he is also a consciousness, coming out of consciousness, and we are all in that same consciousness. That's a totally different perspective. Then you will use the thought, but you won't be a slave to it. We talked about this, okay? And that's why I put these two, because Ramana represents consciousness. He says there's only consciousness, nothing else. He is right, though, once you look into it. Descartes was limiting, and you saw the consequences of that in the civilization. Like Eckhart Tolle pointed out, 130 million people died in this century because ego-based personalities keeping their individual thoughts and then believing they are the only one and everybody else is wrong. That's why there was a division and they are divided. The two components that are divided are fighting. That's the essence of everything. So it is true in the day-to-day life. It is true in warlike situations. So one thing Ramana said, which is true, is keep the mind quiet. That's the only thing that you need to do. So using it for practical purposes is one thing. Using it in relationship is another thing. So that's where you really want to keep the mind quiet. This is overthinking is the biggest cause of unhappiness is not only true, but this is the bane of our information age. I am an informatician, but I know the limits of information. I am very aware of it. And also I am aware of what are the consequences of overthinking or information overload. The only way to curb this is awareness. If you are aware of your thoughts and then say, this is the place for this to think about, this is the place I don't have to think about, then a radical change will happen in your mind. But it's going to be more difficult as you go along because all the samskaras that form, they take over you. So to combat that, you have to come to the present moment. So every day you have to act in presence. Then only you will be able to curb this unnecessary thinking and subsequently overthinking. There are so many examples of people who advanced in perception of consciousness, awareness in all their activities, and they were free from psychological hang-ups and also really slave to the world and its offerings and all that. But they are very good in using their intellectual capacities and also memory, that kind of powers of the mind they have realized. That can be done if you understand what I'm talking about. What is the awareness? What is the thought? So what you want to do is be aware, be in the self. That means be in the consciousness, be in the awareness, and also follow each thought. When you consume good data, you'll have good thoughts. And then regularly you can see how you are sitting. Are you having an erect back or are you slumping? No, that's the important thing when you meditate also. And then breathing is something, and also you follow all your thoughts and change the negative to positive. And if you have a regular routine and you are following things, you have less problems of dealing with things that happen suddenly. So regular routine, I'm mentioning here because it is gone mostly. People are going nights, are going days, are working all 24 hours, are working with computers all the time. People are communicating so well from east to west. So their day is our night is their day. So people are having that kind of problems, you know. But basically, if you don't have good routine, you cannot really achieve a good immunity. Basically, that's simple, you know. So if you want to be aware all the time, you want to be aware in all the small things also. Remember, pay attention to every action. If you pay complete attention to every action you are doing, then when you really want to study or do something with real concentration, it is right there. So you cannot train the mind in unawareness all day and expect it to be aware at some point of time. That's the mistake a lot of people are doing. They do 20, 30 minutes of meditation and then all day they are unaware. You know, they are doing too many things half-heartedly. And then when they really want to do something, they have a headache. And that is not good for the immunity down the line, because you want to allow the body to work and enjoy, not to build up stress, and then to study and enjoy, not to build up stress. And then the system is functioning smoothly without producing any stress hormones. You don't need any stress hormones. You are giving opportunities to make stress hormones either by your body or by your mind. So the immunity becomes important because you don't want to live in stress hormone environment inside you. So all the habits that you cultivate will help you to see that. So some take-home tips: food, grow your food, get organic grown food, prepare with love, eat when hungry. That's the important thing. You have to eat only when you are hungry, you know. Comfortably sit and eat and enjoy and dispose the waste safely. Activity, early to bed, early to rise. Do not reach technology early in the morning. Rise with an elevated thought. Early AM routine with the presence of mind, and it will continue all day. You know, when you are commuting, you use the time for enhancement. You can listen to audio tapes, provided you are in the present, then you know what's going on around you too. You know? Or you can relax, or you can breathe. You can do lots of things like that. But phone also you can do it, but then not with the hand. You know, just put it on the rest, and then you can communicate. You know? Then when you work, you have to have a real good attention and be in touch with the values, be in touch with yourself, what is going on with you. Don't get lost in the work completely. You have to be able to bring your being while you are working. It's not all doing. You have to bring yourself to the being. Every 1 minute break can be used every hour for that purpose. And then you can do office yoga to relieve the stress that is accumulating in your neck and the back. And don't sit all around all day. Just every half an hour, take a small break, you know, and then evening come home, as you're coming home, reflect on the day and relax at home and then sleep. Thoughts, of course, make your mind your slave, be in awareness, slow the thought and replace the negative thoughts with the positive ones, and fix the mind and the heart. This is the big message from Ramana. fix the mind in the heart. Then you function better. So that requires the inquiry of who am I? Existential questions. The more you go into that, the more stability you will have with your mind. So, love, meditate, and realize. This is Satyananda, Shivananda. Shivananda Yoga Ashram saying. So is the Karma Yoga, love is the Bhakti Yoga, meditate is the Raja Yoga, realize is the Gnana Yoga. So representing all of that, they put, but if you look at it in plain words, you are serving the community or the world, and you are loving everything you are doing or everything you are eating, and you practice to control your mind, and then you realize who really are. You are the self. That's it now. The series is over, and down the line I'll think of something else which you can promote immunity, and then we will talk about it. Thank you very much for participating.